World of Warcraft Midnight, or as Blood Death Knights call it, the next single-player WoW expansion, is right around the corner. While everyone else is crying about ability pruning and balanced gameplay, Blood DKs are over here standing in a lake of fire, laughing. If you play Blood DK, you don't have a healer. You are the healer. Your team follows you around while you refuse to die. The pre-patch stat pruning hit, sure, but it didn't take away our core identity as a Blood DK, being too angry to die. And you know why you can't die? Because you are just too pretty and stubborn to die. As a Blood DK, you feel like a god because your health bar is basically like a yo-yo. You'll go from 10% health to 100% health in a single death strike, and the boss will start looking around for the report player button while they consider canceling their subscription. You are going to raise your healer's blood pressure as a result of your health bar ping-ponging like an undergraduate frat house, but largely there isn't much they can do, as you are your own healer and you are largely responsible for whether you live or you die. You also have a fun little battle res of your own, so you can show your healer how you are fully outsourcing every component of their role. Even with all of Midnight's changes, Blood DK still primarily runs on runes, which are our fuel to cast most abilities in our rotation, runic power, which is our pent-up violence that we primarily get to exercise through death strikes, which also now cleave, and bone shield charges, which are more or less our emotional support skeletons that reduce the damage we take through the form of additional armor. The biggest major change in terms of feel for Blood DK and Midnight is that we no longer have to spend our Bone Shield charges in order to maintain any sort of economy, with previous abilities like Tombstone and Bone Storm no longer being in the game. Stack those Bone Shield charges and call it a day, while you wait for mobs to slowly pull stacks from you as you get hit. The number one concept to understand as a Blood DK is that your Bone Shield charges should never fully drop off during combat. Without Bone Shield charges, you really aren't tanking, so don't let those fall off, and you'll be fine. As far as stats are concerned, item level is king, followed by our primary stat, which is strength, then critical strike, mastery, versatility, and haste kind of share priority. As far as talents are concerned, the only real tree to care about and spec into right now is Deathbringer. Reaper's Mark is far too good and fun to click to consider the other hero tree at the current moment. Let's talk about the basic flow and rotation of a Blood Death Knight. Our opener is pretty simple. Taunt with either Dark Command or pull our enemies into us with Death Grip. Alternatively, we could start with Death's Caress for another ranged option, or if maybe you're saving taunts for taunt swap mechanics during a raid. Then pop Raise Dead and Reaper's Mark together. They share the same cooldown and have great damage synergy. In fact, I'd recommend macroing these. Hit your Dancing Rune weapon if you have a boss in front of you or something that will live for longer than 30 seconds. Stand in your soup. And by soup, I mean your AoE ability, Death and Decay. You live here now, and you need to learn to like it. Marrow Rend until your Bone Shield is comfy, 5 stacks or more is a good place, and then Blood Boil to spread diseases and grab aggro amongst a unit. That's our opener. Now that we're in combat and we're kind of prepped up a bit, it's time to settle in for our normal resource generation. Death's Caress, Hard Strike, and Marrow Rend are the core of these generators, but we also need to apply some Blood Plague, AoE dots with our Blood Boil. Use Marrow Rend to build Bone Shield charges as often as we need, keep that stack above 5 at all times, or we kind of lose our tank card. Use Heart Strike to burn runes and generate runic power when you have nothing else to push. Let's talk about spenders. And lucky for us smooth brains out there, as Blood Death Knights, we really only have one true spender. Death Strike is your everything. It spends runic power to heal you for a percentage of the damage you just took. Death Strike is really the only way to spend your runic power for Blood Death Knight, and it's by far the best use of it. Death Strike, the moment a mob breathes on you too hard. If the bad man touches you, Death Strike and redact that shit and pretend it didn't happen. In Midnight, Blizzard nerfed the raw healing of Death Strike slightly, but they gave us more base armor to compensate, and it still kicks just as much ass as it always has. Let's move on to our bigger cooldowns. You have so many oh shit buttons coming out of your ass as a Blood Death Knight that you can rotate them like a deck of cards. Your major defensive cooldowns are as follows in order of how long they take to come back online. Anti-Magic Shell, which should be used with absolute impunity as it is only on a minute cooldown. Anytime you even feel an ounce of concern for your safety, feel free to push it. Vampiric Blood, which essentially turns you into a very easy target to heal by 30% and also boosts your max HP by 30% and is only on a 90-second cooldown. Icebound Fortitude, which reduces all damage by 30% and prevents stuns, but this is on a 2-minute cooldown. And Lichborn, which makes you immune to Charm, Fear, and Sleep, gives you 6% leech, and is also on a 2-minute cooldown. I'm saving talking about Dancing Rune Weapon for last, as this is by far your best and most impactful cooldown. It is available every 2 minutes and provides 20% parry chance for its duration. The parry matters a lot less than the other benefits it provides, and I would recommend never trying to save this to use it defensively. Dancing Rune Weapon buffs your Heart Strikes, Mirror Rends, and Blood Boils. You get more runic power, more bone shields, and more blood plagues from your abilities, and it just makes you a better person overall. Pop this fucker every single time it's not on cooldown. In conclusion, I have to stress that I find Blood DK to be the most fun tank by far, and will undeniably be my main going into Midnight. Playing Blood DK isn't about a perfect rotation. It's about control. You decide when you're in danger. You decide when to heal, and you don't need a healer babysitting you. So if you want to feel unkillable, if you want to ignore mechanics just a little bit, if you want to go play WoW like the boss music is always playing and that you're the raid boss itself, go out there and make them bleed as a Blood DK. If you liked this video, I would really appreciate if you liked and subscribed, as we're a new channel just starting out. Tune in, there will definitely be more Midnight content as we move into the expansion.